So pop-ups, lots of us have pop-up blockers on pages. If you do have a pop-up, it probably needs to be something additional, so it can't be a key part of your website, because if it gets blocked, then that's going to be a problem. And it needs to be useful for the user, so they don't just get annoyed and leave. So if you're going to have a pop-up, make sure it's very useful to the user. Things like zooming in, so you grab people's attention by making elements do things, like animate a little bit as you scroll over them. Making sure that calls to action are near the top of the page. Really consider your headlines, they're really, really important. The headings on the page really need to be very clear and capture attention. Have those images and video. So we like pretty things. We like to see we like to see nice images, and we love videos. Google loves videos as well. So visual engagement. These are things. So scrolling banners and revolving messages are things that you can use to grab attention, but be aware that there is that users, although they might grab attention, users are unlikely to actually read what's on those banners or on those revolving messages. So don't put key information on there. You can have like promotions on there and things that might really, really stand out, but don't expect users to actually spend any time reading those things. It's the sort of thing that stakeholders really want. They're like, can we have a scrolling banner that shows everything that's going on? And you're like, well, they're not going to read it, so probably shouldn't. Personalization, though, is very, very important. AI can make that much easier now than it was in the past, and it's developing. So there are AI tools that are going to look at where the user came from, what else they've looked on the web, to then automatically show different content on the website to what someone else might see. You can do that through lots of difficult coding, but AI tools are starting to be used to make that much easier for the website designer. And place pain points in headlines. So pain points come back to usability. It comes back to things that your business, your brand, your website are going to solve for your users. So identifying, you might say, sore feet from walking all day, by our cushioned insoles. I guess I have sore feet, that's the only reason I've come up with that. That pain point. But yeah, pain point is identifying a problem that your user has and solving it in the headline. So just another way of saying that is basically, people don't want to buy your product, they want to buy a solution to their problem, so they want the outcome of your product. This is just an example of a very visually attractive website. I mean, with something like Circle K, you don't really need to go onto their website to kind of do your shopping, you're just going to go to Circle K. So the main thing they're doing here is just showing their special offers. That's the main purpose of their website. They're trying to get customers to come back and look so they can see what's good, they're enticing people to come into the shop by having visually attractive website with special deals on their site. Right, I have a question. I have a poll for you. Have you? So could you just go and answer yes or no? I'm very interested to know if any of you have got your own website, or if you've ever had your own website, a website that you've built. Then click no. Don't just shake your head. Click no. I want to see. Because otherwise it's going to be 100% yes. So get onto Slido, yes or no? Or 100% no.
Yes or no?
Oh, it's going to take a moment to sit down and be quiet while you fill out the yes or no.
Or yes or no?
It's very interesting.
Yes. That actually works.
Lots of you have got websites. Come on, we're stuck at 17 people here.
No.
There's a lot more of you than that in the room.
Không sao đâu. Tôi chỉ làm YouTube, tôi chỉ gửi YouTube thôi. Shit. Oh my fucking god.
When we get to 20, I'm going to move on. So one more person. There we go. Right. Okay. So 40% of you, well, 38% of you that have answered this poll have got or had a website. So I would like somebody, one of those people, to volunteer and tell me what their website is. Go on, be brave. Tell me what their website is. Yes, go on. You've got your hands up. What's your website? Oh yeah, you helped make a website. Ah, okay. So what did you use to make a website? Oh really? Okay, you're much more advanced than me. So you, nice. So you did the actual coding, so right from scratch to do it. Okay, and how does the company, the hair product company, how do they add content to it? Do you have to do it, or can they do it themselves? Okay, you help them. Interesting. Okay, so you've coded a website for a hair product company. It's really interesting. I'd love to see it. So if you could send me a link, that would be great. Anyone else? Anyone else made a website? I mean, I know that you have. There's 36% of people who've answered the poll. Someone else, tell me about your website. Come on. Stick your hand up. Get some users. Come on. Yes. Okay. I like this road. It's my favourite road. What's your website?
So it's it's just I just create a link, like I'm throwing my mind into it. Like I put some jokes inside the web, but I put the headlines a little bit more so that I can yeah, it's like I place pinpoints and headlines that makes my friend interested and to lure my friends into my troll, just like that.
So is it a blog?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, it's just, I just found a website, a link creator on Google, and I just click on it, and I just do on the help. So it's just, but I close it has been closed down, like it just.
That's good. It's good though. It's good to if it has one, and that's it. To be thinking about what headlines are going to get your friends, even if it's just your friends, to get them to click on the website. Anyone else? Anyone else want to tell me about their websites? Yes, yes, yes. Everyone, please be quiet. Please.
Project.
Quiet.
So I was making like a candle brand for my portfolio. So I just use like Figma to create like a mock website for my candle brand for that project.
Oh, brilliant. So for that's really interesting. So you've got a portfolio to show off the design, your product design. Great. Right, that's really interesting. So we've had you used a tool, was it Sigma, did you say? And then we've got like a link creator, and then someone just doing it in code. So there's lots of different ways to make a website. My first few websites were built entirely in HTML, and then using CSS, and doing lots of coding, some JavaScript. But now, all the websites that I build tend to be done using a content management system, which would be like the one that you use for your product design. So it used to be if you build a website in code, purely in code, then one of the things you're kind of doing is building each page separate. Your content is completely linked to the technical output of your website and the design. It's all kind of together, and it can be quite complicated. But what content management systems do is separate the content from the design and the technical function of the website. So it means that, for example, you can have a developer make sure the website does everything technically that it needs to do. You'll have designers that make it look attractive, and then you'll have content creators or copywriters who are digital marketeers writing and producing the content for the website. And it means that those content creators don't actually need the technical knowledge. You don't need to know code and design and how to write. Those functions are separated out, which means it's a lot, which basically makes much better websites. Because I know lots of excellent coders who can't write a sentence for the life of them. Know lots of fantastic writers who have no sense of colour, like my student who created the lime green website. And also, you might, if you've got lots of different people working on your website and writing for your website, if they've got control over things like heading size and font size and how big images are, then it can ruin the look of your website. It can make it inconsistent, which can stop it being usable by your user. You want a very consistent look to every page on your website so that users know how to get through it. It's very important. And a content management system, the CMS, helps with that. So so the front end and the back end are separated once the developer and the designer have basically created the look and the technical function of the website. The content creators can go into the back end of the website and add in their content, and then it will appear in the templates created by the developers and designers. So some examples of content management systems are WordPress, which is probably the most famous one, and that's what I tend to build websites in, is WordPress. It's very simple to use. But there are others, so there's Joomla as well, loads of others, but also things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or X, they are all kind of content management systems. You use, like you'll have a place to upload your picture, you'll have somewhere to write your description, you have your profile links and everything, they all appear in a certain way that's determined by the developers and the designers of those social media sites, and you are the content creators. So a website content management system works in the same way as those social media sites. So if you've used any social media sites, then you can use a content management system as a content creator. It can also mean that you can automate things like on a shopping website, if you have thousands of products, you're not going to manually put them on different pages and manually decide what products appear on each page. And a content management system will help you, using tags and categories, make those products automatically appear in the right places. So you've got trousers and shoes and tops, and by tagging your products or categorizing your products by trousers and shoes and tops, they will automatically appear on those places on the website through using a content management system. So for modern websites, they really all should be created in this way. It does mean that, say, if it's all in code, if you have to help like the business owners add content each time, because it needs technical knowledge, then it's not very sustainable for the future. So it can really help manage a website. So a website, more on that, is that a website is a bit pointless if you just have a designer and a developer and you don't have anyone creating that content. So sometimes when businesses like, we need a website, and they don't really think about the ongoing content creation. So making sure that you've got a plan for who is adding content, who's managing it, is very, very important. A content management system won't be any good if you're not developing new and relevant content for your users. The content that goes on your website needs to be regularly updated, you need to make sure it's accurate. Search engines really like fresh content, regularly updated content as well. You need to develop trust with your customers by making sure that everything that's on there is accurate, so really thinking about that with your content. If your business has the capacity, you really want to be creating and publishing content, once a week or more. And then you can also share that content, that new content, to social media, as press releases, things that basically your users are going to share and talk about your company. If you just create a website and then have some static content and just leave it as it is, then there's no reason for people to return or share things about your website. Going back to the restaurant example, you want to always put your current menus on there. You talked about coupons, making sure that you've got seasonal coupons and promotions to get people to come back to your website. Reviews and things like that, fresh content that's going to get people coming back. Another thing that a website must have now is absolutely responsiveness. Many websites will be built mobile first, in fact, rather than desktop and then working on mobile. More people do look at the internet on, as we saw on the figures at the beginning, I think it was like 92% of internet users do look at the internet on their phone, while 67% look on desktop. So a website absolutely has to work on mobile. And that can be an issue. Even I am sometimes guilty of it, where you're building a website on your laptop and you think, right, it looks great on there, I'm sure it looks fine on mobile, you don't really check it. But you must always be checking that it works on mobiles and tablets and things like that. Also, Google really, really likes responsive websites. It downgrades websites that aren't responsive. Must have call to action. There's no point in having your website ready if you don't have things for your customers to do. So for a restaurant, a call to action might be make a reservation. Make sure you have things for your customers to do. A shopping website, obviously, by now, you need those calls to action. But they need to make the next step actions for your visitor clear. What people don't like is dead ends on websites. They don't like to get to a website and then not know what to do next. So a call to action can help give people a thing to do next on the website. So a database management solution is will help with your customer database. So this is about having getting people to be able to register for your site, to log into your site, and then being able to manage that data. So making sure that it's sort of tied in with your customer relationships management. So if people register on your website, you should also know if that's the same person who is on your email list, making sure they're all connected, and that will help with those triggered emails that you get post-purchase or when a shopping cart is abandoned. But you don't just download that data onto a spreadsheet and then do it manually. You need to use something that's going to really take care of people's data. That's also a legal requirement in most parts of the world, is to make sure that any personal details about your customers is very carefully managed. So you need to have a database management solution for that. And then clear navigation. You might have a website with hundreds of pages of content on, but if you don't have a clear navigation to allow people to find that content, then there's no point in the content being there at all. So you need to really think about what your users need to see, and and how they use your website. Look at how people use your website. Look at the stats, the analytics to see which pages that people are visiting. If people aren't visiting some pages at all, you've got to think about, okay, can they actually find that page? So all of the content, calls to action, everything will be useless if the visitor can't find it. You also need to make sure that it's good for a first-time customer as well as a repeat customer. So sometimes people can get to know how a website works, and they're like, they might tell someone, oh, when you go to this website, you need to click on this, and then this, and then this, and then you'll find it. You don't want that. You want it to be really clear from the start. And also having a search option as well for people, and then testing that search option to make sure that it does actually provide the results that your customers need. Most searches for websites, you can also curate what results. So if you know that people, if you've got a useful tool on your website, make sure that your search, the first thing that appears when people search for it is the link to the actual tool rather than something referring to the tool. So for example, when I worked on a university website, it was making sure that if someone put in like digital marketing in the search bar, it came back with the digital marketing course that we did. And then further down the results, it might also have the university's own digital marketing department and information as well. So making sure that the search is showing the thing that your users are most likely to actually want to see, but also advertises the things that you want them to see. It's a balance between what your users want and what you want them to do. We talked about it, one of the 5 stages of information processing was about comprehension, about your website being easy to understand. And that's where using established terms for website menu items is very important. So for example, contact. Let's just have contact. And about us, then stick to about rather than trying to come up with a catchy title. So I have had clients that have said, I don't want an about page, I want something, I want to just have that information spread throughout the website. We don't need one. It's like, no, people expect to see it. There are established norms on websites which are a contact page, an about us page. So those are things that you do need to have, and you should just call them the established names rather than coming up with something clever.
I should get weapons.
We don't want clever titles. And as we saw on that on the gov.uk website, it highlighted the popular pages. So once your website is established and you know what people are looking at, and